Hello, welcome to this tutorial, and today we are going to fix the tie beams for our trusses and also adding purlins to pull out a brief preview of this structure when it is complete. Let's get started. I'm Morris Dimba, and if you take a look on the screen here, we have our multi-span truss, and we want to briefly work on it. We want to place the tie beams to maintain our trusses in position, and also we'll try to place pylons, and pylons now should not be something hard or hectic to do, because we've done this several times. But if this is your first video to bump into, and this is your first time with Tekla structures, I'll be able to show you that in a short while. Now, if I come to navigate, you only access navigate if you come to view, and you'll be able to access this navigate. Under navigate is where we get the rotation tools. So if you click on this drop down arrow and pick on the first option of rotate with mouse, you'll be able to pick your rotation point. As you have seen at the bottom end here, you've been requested to pick your rotation point or position. I'm going to pick this point as my rotation point. So the moment you see that circle, small circle, just go ahead and press your left button on the mouse and hold, and you'll be able to rotate your model like that. Now, if I zoom out, we have some cleats here, and we want to start marking out our first and second point, and also taking into consideration the gapping that will be placed in between the pylons connection, cleat connection. So now I'll come to edit here, and I want to pick on the points, and I want to place a point here, and in here I'll select on this particular point. So to make sure this point snaps or will move in accordance to the measurements we are going to use, I'll come here and reorient or place my XYZ plane to follow the slope of my truss, so that even the points, when I try to shift this point in to this position, will be able to follow the axis accurately. Now let me come to edit. Let me come to view, so that I'll be able to access the work plane tool. I'll click on that drop down arrow under work plane tool, and we have variety of options of XYZ plane, how you can manipulate your work plane tool or XYZ plane. So I normally work with the first option because it's always easy, and it's straightforward for anybody new in Tekla structures. Now I'll select on the first option. So the moment you select on it, you'll be able to you'll be able to see that when you mouse over any surface, your work plane tool will try to align itself with that surface. So we want to align this work plane tool with our truss, so that it follows the slope of our truss. So let me just snap on that, then I right click and click interrupt to terminate that command. Now I'll zoom close and target this point, because I want to offset this point by 1.5 and offset on the other end by 1.5, so that I make a 3 millimeter gap in between my pylons. So let's start by that. I'll select on this point, right click and come to Spatial Copy here and click linear. Then let me zoom out so that you see the XYZ. So on y-axis, we'll come to y-axis here. So you work with one axis at a time. So the moment you start working on a particular axis, the rest should remain at 0. Now the axis you're working on should be the only axis with number or with a dimension you're trying to offset or move to. So in this particular case, we want to shift to y-axis. So z-axis and x-axis must be 0. Now on y-axis, we want to shift this point here by 1.5. So we just need a copy there, and we zoom close so that we see the changes clearly. So I'll try and click copy, and you'll be able to see a point has been created, 1.5. If I come to edit here and pick measurement, if we try to check the measurement here, you'll be able to see it is 1.5. So I'll select on this point again because I want to create another copy by not going all the way and try to do the same thing, to create the same thing. Now we have this in place. So if we try to check this measurement between this and this, we have 3 millimeter there at the bottom end there. So we want to copy these points to the other end. We'll select on this and try copy them at the bottom end there, and also we copy them this far end, because the reason why we are doing this, because Tekla structures has instructions when you try to create a component. So we are preempting that the instruction that will be given will fall in between, or will be within the markings you are trying to create here. So having done that, we have the points in place, but we are missing some points. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to place a point here. So if I try to mouse over this, I'll be able to see I have a midpoint right there. So there's no problem at all. Our component is correct. Our markings are correct. So I want to place my pylons. I'll come to beam here. So I'll snap right at this point here. Let me just snap right here and move all the way to my second point. You can see the bottom end here. You've been instructed to identify your second point. So my second point will be here. Will be right there. So you can see a section of this of my pylon is slightly inside the clit. So how do you get rid of this? To get rid of this, if you try to move it or mouse over this, you'll be able you will not be able to snap on this particular section. So the best way to do this, or shift it, or to get this thickness dimension, just double click on this component and you'll be able to see on my right here we have the dialog box showing the properties of this particular pylon. So I'll come to this radio button here and click on that. So the moment you click on that, you'll be able to go to profile catalog, and in here you'll be able to see we have this section here. We have the ZS section here, and in here we can try and change this component. We can even change it to that, and if you click OK, we'll have that in place. So we have all the properties here. The thickness is 1.5. The thickness is 1.5, so we want to shift it by 0.75 of this point to, we want to flash it. We want our pylons to flash with the clit, so we have to shift it with half of this measurement. So let's close this. So we'll select on it, then come to spatial move. We'll select on that. So prior to moving your component or your object, make sure you check your XYZ plane. So we'll zoom out and check how our XYZ plane is sloping against our truss. So we'll move it against the X-axis. You can see that. So I'll move close. I'll just move close here and come to X-axis and changing the Z-axis to 0 so that we work with one axis at a time. So on X-axis, I'll be able to prefix my dimension with 0.75, and we click OK, and you'll see that moving, or our pylon flashing with the clit. So if I come to view also here and come to navigate and try to focus on the bottom end here, you'll be able to see our pylon is sitting right on top of our top chord of our truss. So that is not correct, and we want to give it a slight offset of 6 millimeter up. So we'll select on it and come to spatial move here and select on linear. So once we've selected on it, we'll now change the X-axis to 0, and now zoom out and check the position of our Z-axis. Z-axis is pointing up, and that is the direction we are going to place that offset to move to. So I'll come to Z-axis and define or feed my 6 millimeter right there, then come to move and click on it, and you can see the pylon has just moved up. So we want it that way. So what we are going to do, we want to make sure that our XYZ plane is accurate when we try to populate this pylon all populate it along the length of our structure. We want to populate it all the way to from this end to that end. So once we've selected on it like this, we'll come again to ensure that it is in line. So we'll come to view and come to work plane tool and just mouse over this and place our work plane tool on top of our piling, just to ensure it is accurate when you try to populate it along the length, along the full length of our truss. So I'll right click and come to Spatial Copy here. Then on the x-axis here, I'll come to x-axis, so we have to change everything to 0 except the x-axis. So note here that we are moving against the x-axis. So I'll come here and prefix my dimension of 6 millimeter. The 6 millimeter comes here because center to center of this is 6 millimeter. I can verify that and by coming to measurement and define that, and you can see it's 6 millimeter. So we are feeding the 6 millimeter here. So I'll just go ahead and feed in here. I need 9 of these, so I'll just go ahead and click OK. So the moment I click OK, you'll be able to see we have our components in place, or our pylons have been distributed as per what we were expecting. So to confirm that, make sure you turn that round and try and check this gap here by coming to edit and pick the measurement from this point to that point, and you can see it is 3 millimeter gap. So there are some components that we tried to copy, but we copied on the wrong direction. So let's just first of all get rid of them by selecting on them one by one. So let's get rid of these components. They don't belong where they are. I'll come to view and come to navigate here and try to rotate this like this. So what we are going to do, it's simple. It is very simple. We are going to place some bolts here. So to place the bolts, you just need to come to edit here and pick the points we are trying to guide, to place some guidelines here. So I'll snap on that spot and move all the way to the bottom end here, and we'll snap on that spot. So I'll click apply and accept that, then come to points and I'll come to view and come to points, and I want to get a point in between this point and the midpoint here. I'll click on that, then select on this component and come to copy, and I want to transfer that point to that point. I'll come here and I want a point from this end and a point here. So that's all I need, and I want to copy this by holding it from this end and copy it there. So I need this one also by copying it from that end and transfer it here. So again, I'll copy these 2 points by pressing Ctrl, right click and come to copy, and I'll copy all this to this end. So you see these points I'm just creating the guidelines for my bolts, where to place my bolts to connect with the cleat and the purlins. So I'll come to steel, then pick on the bolts. So I want to connect this member and this member. What I'm going to do, I'll press my spacebar here and define the points. So this has been created, and what we can do, just select on the bolt and click move by snapping on the middle of these bolts and transferring them to their positions. So this is how it looks, our connection looks. So we want to populate this all the way to the other end. So how do we do that? To do that, just select the bolts, but to populate this, you need to disable the assembly first, so that this component will be able to move unrestricted. I'll come to Spatial Copy and click linear, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to just click move or copy by clicking that. So if I come here, you'll be able to see we have the bolts in place, and we have the bolts all the way to far end here. though we have an extension here which shouldn't be a worry. I'll show you how to handle that. It will come all the way here, and also we have one. So let's right click and come to Spatial Copy once again and change this to 1 and remove this prefix or remove that negative sign. Click OK, and we'll get another bolt on this end. So we will extend this component this end, so that should not worry you. And I'll come all the way here, all the way there. So we'll move with that ahead, and now let's move to tie beams that will be holding our purlins or our trusses in place. So let's get rid of that, and we'll double click on this component and select that that property or that profile. We'll select copy. So the moment you select on copy, reason why we're doing that, because we don't want to go back and forth on profile catalog. We can just copy that, so that when we create a member, we'll be able just to feed or paste that profile catalog in that spot on that spot. So let me first of all enable disable the assembly. So let me just snap on that spot, snap on this, or what I'm going to do, I'm going to rotate this and define the points. Or there is one that we did initially. We have the tie beam in place, so we don't need to redo it. We just have to work with this. We did this on our previous tutorial, and we left it at a point where we didn't carry everything with us. So let me just turn this round, and we can copy this. So prior to copying this, make sure everything is in place. So let me come to assembly, and if I select on this or press Alt and select on this, I'll be able to select. Let me first of all include all the gusset plates in this assembly. So I'll press Control and select on all these components. Let me come to rotate and rotate this to make sure I carry everything. So I'll come also at this far end by assistance of rotate. I'll come and press Control and select all these stiffeners and turn around and select this one. So I'll right click and come to add to assembly. I'll add it to this assembly here, right there. So if I come to Alt and select on this, you'll be able to see we have this in place. But this this plate is not part of it. So what we do, we'll come to applications and component and type here weld. So we'll select stanchion bolt or stanchion weld here, and we want to weld this to this. So we'll just give some time to weld, to create weld there. So if we right click and redraw and press Alt and select on this, we'll be able to see we have everything as assembly. So let's turn this round, and we want to copy this all the way to other sections. So let me just select, right click and come to copy, and I want to copy this right from the center there and move it all the way to this section here. I'll move it to that section, and move it also to this section here. We have another tie beam here, and we'll move to another different section here. We have another tie beam here. Perfect. And we'll move all the way to other sections. So we have 4 tie beams here. So I'm going to press Alt and select Alt Control and select on all this. So the moment you do that, we'll be able to just to right click and click copy and snap on top of this component. Just snap right there, and we'll just move uniformly to other sections. We'll snap here, we'll place another one there, and we'll place another one here. We'll place another one there, and move all the way to this spot also. and so we are moving gently like that, so that we reach to the far end of our length, or full length of our structure. So let's place that on that, and place this here, and zoom out and target this far end to create a tie beam right there, and zoom out and place another one here, zoom out and place another one here. I think this one is the final one, and we'll place another one there. So if you right click and redraw, click on empty screen and redraw, you'll be able to see we have our tie beams in place. So let me just come to Navigator and try and turn this around like this. We'll be able to see we have our tie beam in place. Tie beams, all the tie beams for our multi-span truss, or all of them have been connected properly. You can see this in place. You can see that already connected, and this one already connected. Let's shift to plan view, and you will be able to see we have all the tie beams in place. Let's turn that round like that and see how the tie beams are connected. So let's switch back to our pylons. So if we try and double click on this, and we come to the extension, just zoom out, just bring this close, and you want to extend. We need an offset maybe on that far end, and we need maybe 300. And if you click OK, and it's not moving, we'll get rid of that and come here and just feed that extension, and you can see that offset. Just undo and prefix this dimension with a negative sign and go ahead and click OK. So you can see we have an overhang on that end, and also we need an overhang this far end. So you just double click on this member and come all the way here and feed 300 and try see if it can move or can offset. Just undo that and come all the way here and do the same thing. Try we offset, we create an overhang right there. So let's do that. We have an overhang right there. So what I'm going to do now is very simple. I'm going to select on this. I'm going to select, press Control and select on all these components. Press on all these pylons. Let's press on all the pylons, and make sure also to make sure we have the bolts carried along. Make sure you select the bolts connecting the pylons and the connecting the pylons and the clits. Just zoom out to make sure you've selected everything correctly and accurately. So zoom out and select on this. Zoom out and select on this, on all the bolts. I'm moving like this so that we enhance accuracy. So let me just zoom out and select each and every one like that. Zoom out and select on that, then zoom out. I think this is the last one, and select on that. So we want to populate this up. So prior to doing this, we want to mirror this. We want to mirror this on the other end. So to mirror this, let's now change our XYZ plane to this end. I'll come to view and come to work plane tool, and I'll place my work plane tool somewhere here or somewhere there. Right click and come to Spatial Copy, and I'll pick mirror. So I'll define my mirror line on that spot and move all the way to that spot and click OK. So if we switch back to the other end, we'll try and check whether we have our pylons on this far end accurately in place. It's accurately sitting in the place, so our selection is still active. So what we are going to do, we are going to switch back our XYZ plane to sit to be in that position. Right click and click interrupt. Now we want to just to copy these components because they vary center to center of our center of our clips. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to just to come to copy, and I'm going to pick them from this spot and move to that spot and move to this spot. Just move one by one and move to this spot. Just move closer and move all the way to this end. Make sure you snap accurately, because if a slight mistake, you create a mistake that will take some time to correct, and that one will be really eating so much on your time. And snap on that, zoom out and try and snap on this. Zoom out and try and snap on this grid line. Zoom out and snap on this grid line. Zoom out once again and snap here. Zoom out and snap here. So we've reached on our apex. So we have this in place. So we'll try to do a similar thing on the other end, and that should not be something to worry you. You can follow the instruction I've just given here, and this is repetitive, and you can follow that and complete this other sections, the remaining sections. So let me just close this and come to navigate. So if I rotate this, just to show you how this looks, this how it looks, and this how it's done. And we walked all the way from a custom component of a truss created, and we created a truss. So instead of creating it manually, it will take a lot of your time. So this is in our library, this truss you're seeing here. So if you double click on it, we'll have a dialog box of our truss, Tekla structure truss 005. That's our own description of our custom component. So I'll come to view and try to rotate this so that you can see actually what we are trying to do by customizing how our structure should look. So this is how it's done. And if you're new to this channel, please don't forget to subscribe to this channel, and let's meet then. Be safe and bye bye. Don't forget to enable that notification button on your by enabling your notification button, you'll be able to get a notification that a new video has just dropped, and you need to watch that. Thanks a lot, and bye bye.